I'm going to ask you a very simple question now. If you were to borrow you money, would you lend you? Okay, let me ask in a very simple way. See, if you are a company or a corporate, would you invest in you? Do you trust you? You know why? You should never trust your money with yourself. That is it. It's a very simple thing. You already know that you have a weakness deep inside of you, but you keep on trusting you with your money. So this video is all about, by the way, you really need to be a very at good, sort of, should I say, mental capacity to actually understand what I'm about to talk about, because this is quite of an interesting video. And this is it. See, you're not supposed to trust you with your money. And I always ask people a very simple question. See, assume you and you are two different people. See, and then you borrows you money. Would you lend you? The behavior, the character that you have, it is a behavior that someone can actually, lend you money and actually be able to pay back. Most of you will say no, because there's some of the things you say, hey, you know what, Joseph, I'm not good at keeping money. You know what, Joseph, I usually find a very tough time for me to actually go ahead and follow my budget that I do have. That's a reality. For example, how many videos have you watched of Pied? What action have you ever taken? Or you always come here, you like the video, you say, thank you very much, Joseph, God bless you, you do a very nice job, and all those kind of things. You never take action and all those kind of things. And now let me ask a very simple question. So if me and you, we promise each other, now tomorrow morning, we're going to actually meet at 8 a.m. and we're going to go to a gym. And then the tomorrow morning comes, the 8 a.m. is here, I don't show up. Okay? The other day I don't show up. The other day I don't show up. Then would you trust me? Absolutely not. See, you always watch my videos, you don't do nothing, you just like them. By the way, go ahead and like the video and make sure that you subscribe and actually leave a comment out there. See, the point is this. What happens in our lives, I'm going to explain to you what the tricky, why you should not trust you with your money and what you're supposed to do. I'm going to share that at the end of the video. See, the point number one, you are always in what we call interested. See, the you is always interested with the current or the present day. The you now, you who is watching me now, probably if I had to write in a topic and say, hey, do this now and get 1 million, probably this video would have gotten like 1 million views. Why? Because people are so much interested with now, right now, quick, me, right now, the satisfaction of today and right now, not about the future. For example, if I tell you, if you can be able to invest 5,000 continuously in a money market fund for the next 10 years, you're going to get yourself 1 million shilling. You're like, now, you're like, okay, fine. Let's say it's true. Me, it's true, but 10 years, that's a long time. You know why? The present you always fights with you. Why? The current you, the you is actually interested with the current and the present you. That's how it goes about. See? Now, this is what happens now. See, the future you, guess what happens now? See, if I tell you put your 5,000 continuously for the next 10 years, each and every month, you're going to get yourself 1 million shilling. Now, guess what happens? By the way, if you were to put a 5,000 each and every month, if you're in a position to, then you're going to get yourself $1 million at the end of the 10 years. Now, the point is this now, assuming that you get an average interest of 13% thereabout. Now, the point is this now, see, if the present you or the you who is interested with the present you usually have the constant battle. You see, you fight with it. And what happens now, see, when you grow old, now the future you asks you, what do you do for the sake of the present me? Now the future you. And most of the people, guess what happens now? You don't have the answer to the present you. Now that's the future you. You don't have the answer. And guess what happens when you do not have the answer? It's like if you do guys have kids, it's like a kid asks you a question that you cannot answer or you're not in a position to answer, you become frustrated. Now, when the future you ask you, what did you do? I mean, you avoided to say nothing, but obviously you did nothing. You actually squandered all your life along the way. So what you're supposed to understand is that as much as we want to enjoy our lives in the present day, it's always good to make sure that we're able to as well cater for the future us, because between you or the present you and us in future, it is a very, very essential part. Why? And in between, you're not supposed to trust yourself. And when I say you're not supposed to trust yourself with your money, it is that it's always good to leave that room for doubt in yourself. And I'm going to use a very weird example. And guys, allow me to use this example. And I'm giving you a disclaimer. All right? So if there is a kid around, get them off. Okay? There's a disclaimer. Now, this is the point. Let's say you're actually observing what we call celibacy, or maybe say you're abstaining or something of sort. And then maybe say you're dating and you say, like, in the next 1 month, I'm not going to engage myself in anything to do with you get out making love or something of sort, and then you actually gonna invite that lady in your house, or invite that man in your house, or go to his house, or whatever the thing it is. Obviously you are about to succumb to the temptations, and the only thing that you can actually do is to leave that room of doubt inside of you and be like, I ain't gonna show up to that point of whatever, because I'm so much susceptible, I'm gonna be tempted, because I'm a human being and I have all those weaknesses. So the moment you get your money, do not trust yourself with that money. Get a small a fraction of that given money, channel it towards an investment. Don't trust you. If you rely on you is the emotional you, and you actually focusing on throwing parties. Life is short, life is for the living, you only live once, the YOLO thing, all those kind of things. Now that is you speaking to you with a disregard of the future you. And I can promise you this, it is not a question of if, but it's a question of when will it happen, because it will. And what will happen is that you'll have a regret about your life, all right, as far as what you did in reference to the finances and the investment. Now let's go to point number 3. See what happens now. We are always in a constant battles with ourselves, and guess what happens? More of us, and most of the people, get what? They usually succumb to the stronger bad behaviors. It is true, by the way. If today I tell you this, which one is easier? Which one would you go for? I mean, honestly speaking, disregard that you have ever known good Joseph, disregard the fact that you don't even know I existed, or there's nothing like financial literacy and whatever. If today I give you two options, between spending the money that you have, going for those road drives, going for those safaris, going for those parties and what have you, compared to you sacrificing and investing your money, which one is easier to pick? Definitely the former is easier to pick. The one that I'm going to tell you, go ahead and enjoy, throw parties and do all those kind of things. That is easier to pick because you don't need any effort. It's so much effortless to do it, all right? And that's why even in the Bible, we don't have commands like thou shalt eat, because I mean, come on, you just, but they tell you thou shalt love, because hey, loving is quite of a thing, you know. You need to disregard some of the things for you to love. See, we were commanded to have or do things that we know, yes, we can, but our bodies actually fights with it. Yeah, we cannot be commanded to do things that we cannot be able to do, and that's the reality. So the point is this: we usually, most of the people tend to succumb to the stronger bad behaviors. And if you didn't know, that's about life. Most of the bad things and the bad behaviors are usually sweet, quote unquote, are usually sweet. They're actually nice, because throwing parties, you don't need to think a lot, you don't need to sacrifice anything, you just need to be out there, do the thing and enjoy yourself and all those kind of things. So it becomes a little bit easier for most of the people. But when we talk about sacrifice, have the discipline, consistency, that is the only way that you can grow. Most of the people actually cannot actually be able to sustain that, because it is so much tasteless, it's not even fun, it's not all those kind of things. And that's a reality. And that's why if you're seeking for the fun and actually these things that makes you happy, you ain't gonna get something better in future. And that's why you find most of these things that we consider them the herbals and good and the medicines that are so sweet and can not really sweet per se, but they can actually transform in your health wise and something of sort. And I'm not speaking on the behalf of the medics here. They happen to be the tasteless kind of a thing. I remember during the corona times, we were used to be told, I don't know, make the concoctions of the ginger, I don't know what all. It is so, it's not even sweet, but I think it's so much effective when it comes to your health. For example, if I tell you eat broccoli in place of meat, or broccoli is tasteless, it's just, but it's so nutritious and so healthy. So you find, like, if you trust what you is telling you, then you're gonna get yourself into problems, because the you is always interested on making happy the emotional part of you. So the point is, avoid and seize trusting you with your money. For example, you know very well, hey, you know what? The moment you give, there's some of you, when I give you some cash right now, your brain shuts and you happen to be in a situation whereby you just walk all over the place. And I've ever seen, but I always love to give this example. There was a guy whom we used to work with. The moment we get the money, that guy usually go to the next mall. That is it. No matter where the place is. Have you ever seen some people, when they get the money, they even show up to a place where they can buy something? They don't even know what they want to buy. They just get the money, they show up to the place, they just wanna buy. To them, they translate money as a product to be consumed, to buy the thing. Have you ever been in a supermarket where you're looking for something to buy? You know, it's kind of weird showing up to a place where they're selling things and you're looking for something to buy, rather than you're going somewhere to buy something. It's like saying something just because you have to say something, rather than you have something to say. You see, when you show up to a place whereby you just want to say something, or rather buy something, just because you have the money with you. See, when you have that kind of a behavior, now tell me, honestly speaking, if you rely on you with that kind of a behavior, it will be very tough for you. And that's why you find most of the people in the especially in African setup, specifically in Kenya, you find most of the people tend to come together in groups to help each other save. Someone can tell you, I do not have the strength, I do not have the strength to actually sacrifice myself all the way throughout to an year. But if I come together with people, they can actually quote unquote discipline me, they can help me save. That's why I save with them. And there is nothing wrong with that. Provided your savings as a group, it is not a merry-go-round, it's a thing that you put your money into an investment. That's why people come together, because you have a strength where I have a weakness. Someone else has a strength where you have a weakness. So when we come together, you caution me from where I have the strength, if we have the weakness, and I also caution you or hold you where you have the weakness. That way, collectively, we can be able to do something. Now, the worst thing happens when you get into partnership with an individual who you share the same problems. And in that particular case scenario, it becomes even chaotic. Why? Because nobody is actually, sort of helping the other. And this is why I always tell people, it is good to make sure that you scrutinize your partner, especially when you're about to get into a relationship, especially when you're about to get into marriages and whatever the thing is it is good to make sure that you understand the other partner. How do they perceive money? How do they invest? How do they do all those kind of things? So that specifically I'm dealing with this kind of an individual. All right, let's go to the last point, and it's about the fourth point, yeah, it has been about you, not the view of them. Most of the people tend to succumb to this situation again, whereby you usually feel shame, like, hey, guess what, with my status, with my whatever, whoever I am, I need to prove to a point to people. So you let them dictate to you how it's supposed to be. And this one actually goes with the last point. It says it's all about you. It's you for them, not them for you. See, it is not them who decides who you be gonna be, because some of you guys are actually affecting your cash based on what them or they are telling you or are perceiving you. There is nothing about that. It is all about you for them, not them for you. All right, it is you to tell them who you are, obviously with a case regard, or with a point of, unless maybe they are correcting you in some way or the other. Remember, there's something called the Johari's window. If you don't know what's the Johari's window, go check the Johari's window. For example, I don't know my voice unless you tell me. There's some of the things that I cannot know about myself. How I walk, my walking style is you to tell me. But where I spent last night, you people don't know unless I tell you. There are things that we know. There are things that you don't know unless we tell you, unless you tell me. It's called the Johari's window. You can go check it out there, okay? So the point is, it is you to tell them, hey, you know what, guys? This is me. For example, I tell my friends, hey, guess what, guys? I'm not trying to tell you should not drink, but the point is, I don't drink. So whenever you invite me to a place, don't actually think of maybe giving me a drink or something. I don't. It is me telling them who I am. It's as simple as that. It doesn't. You get what I'm saying? So most of the people tend to succumb to the view of them or they, whatever they tell you, and that way you're gonna affect a lot of money. For example, there was a couple I had some times back, and when we did all the mathematics and we did place everything on the table, I realized these guys are actually succumbing to the situation whereby, they are living in this life whereby they have sort of proving a point to their fellas, because the estate where they live, the guys are not earning as the others. These guys are employed, but most of the people who they live in the same estate, they're actually business people. And I'm telling you, there is nothing sweet like having your own business. Why? Because you dress under your own term, you do the things under your own term. For example, if I was a teacher, obviously maybe I could not show up to a class with a t-shirt or something. There is a dress code that I have to assume. There is a way I have to present myself, and all that means money. For example, if you're a banker, there is a presentability that you ought to, present out there. You're supposed to be pleasantly disposed and all those kind of things. And obviously that means money. And you maybe say you get yourself into a situation or a company that does not cater for that, then it means that you have to dig deep into your pocket for you to finance that kind of a lifestyle. So I realized these guys are actually succumbing to the pressures of these guys. And these business people, they have the money, and the business people, they tend to have the money, or they do have the money, but you never know whether they have the money. But these guys, they are really trying and straining to actually prove a point. We realize that they are paying a lot in the school fees. We realize that the lifestyle that they're living is not even their lifestyle, and all those kind of things. So it's always good to make sure, before you make any financial decision, always consult your financial advisor, so that you can make a decisive decision, and a decision that is quite good and amazing. Guys, guess what? Don't forget, on the 19th of May 2024, I'm gonna have a live stream on Google Meet video call, where we're gonna talk about finances. We're gonna talk about anything to handle your numbers, how to actually organize your numbers, to handle your stubborn family members, and all those kind of things, if it's indeed a problem to you. For now, it's a goodbye. Don't forget to leave me a like and also comment down below. For now, it's a goodbye, and see you in the next one.